Ginger, which originates in Southeast Asia, is a very slow growing plant, but it's well worth the effort to grow it. It grows as a rhizome, which is a horizontal underground stem, and roots come out from the bottom, and shoots, which turn into foliage, come out of the top of it. And that rhizome is actually the ginger that we eat. Piece of ginger looks much like a deformed hand of some sort. It's got little bumps on it. They're often referred to as nodes. They kind of almost look like pimples. And that's where the sprouts or the stems come out from. When we plant ginger, we actually plant it horizontally, and it's a very slow growing plant, so unless you live in a tropical climate, you probably want to start it in February, March at the latest. I'm a little late getting mine started, but I'm in zone 9A, and so I'll be able to move it outside fairly soon. Hello gardeners, and welcome to Granny Geek's Garden. This is Beverly, and I'm doing some work in my indoors growing room today. We're going to be planting some ginger. Now, you can grow ginger in 6 easy steps, the first of which is to choose your piece of ginger. Now, you can get it from garden centers and a number of places, but I buy mine at the grocery store. Just the regular ginger that's sold in the store. I made one of my forays to the grocery store and just picked up some organic ginger. You don't have to buy organic, but that's the section I go to in the grocery store. Plus, if you get the non-organic kind, it may be sprayed with some kind of sprout inhibitor, which means it could take it a lot longer to sprout. So anyway, buy what you feel most comfortable with. You want to make sure that it's very firm and that it has a lot of little fingers, and especially a lot of these little nodes on them. Now, when I grow ginger, I don't want to plant a piece this big. Actually, it was much larger when I bought it, but I cut a bunch off. You typically want a piece that's 2 to 3 inches and that has at least 2 to 3 nodes on it. So all you have to do is take a sharp knife, find a piece that you want, and cut it. Okay. This piece has probably about 5 nodes on it, but I wouldn't want to cut it any smaller than that. And oh, it smells so good. And I think I'll cut another piece off. Let's see, right about here. And now we've got 3 more pieces of ginger. Once you've cut your ginger into the appropriate size pieces, you want to just leave them out so that the cut area can dry and kind of scab over. That usually takes 2 to 3 days. Some people say one's enough. Some people don't do it at all. But I find 2 to 3 days works best. Once they're dried out, such as this part is, I don't know, can you see that? Okay, once we've got the ginger into pieces and we've dried the cuts and we've put it in some water and soaked it for a few hours, it's time to pot it up. So, first, I'm just using regular potting soil. It is rather heavy on compost, and I'm gonna just add a bit more water. Okay, I'm gonna fill it up. It's probably 2/3 full. I'm gonna take a piece of ginger, lay it down horizontally, take some more soil, cover it up, tap it down a little bit, and it's ready to go. And again, fill the pot. Put in a nice piece of ginger. Finish filling it. And we move on. And we'll do this for, I think I've got 8 pieces of ginger here. Okay, and we've got them all covered up. I'm going to spray them down a little bit just to kind of settle the soil. And then we're going to put them on a heat mat. And I just happen to have a heat mat all warming up. I started warming it earlier. Okay, we'll move these down onto the heat mat. This is a very large heat mat. You don't need one this big, but I plan on putting some other things on it within the next few days. So rather than having several small heat mats, I opted for one large one. And this has a thermometer on it. So I will stick the probe in one of the pots. And I've got a large humidity dome with vents in the top that I'm opening so it can get some airflow. Now this is a taller humidity dome than is actually needed, but I want to keep the humidity up, and I know everything won't grow at the same speed. So this way, if some of these sprouts get tall faster, I can leave that humidity dome on for a longer period of time. Now this does have a thermometer. It's been on for a while, but it's not up to full heat. I've got it set at 82 degrees, but since the probe wasn't plugged into anything, although the mat's quite warm, it's going to take it a little while to get up to speed. Now that we chose our ginger, we've prepared it by cutting it into smaller pieces with appropriate number of nodes on them. We've allowed it to dry. We've soaked it for a couple of hours up to overnight. We've planted it in good potting mix with plenty of compost. Ginger is a very heavy eater, and so it needs lots of nutrition. And we've got the soil nice and moist, but not drippy, soggy. And we want to keep it that way. If you use a heat mat and have a thermometer, it's good to keep it at 80 to 85 degrees. Again, ginger is from a tropical environment, and you want to keep it warm, humid, and damp. The three things. In addition to that, it takes a long time to grow. Most of the time, I try to grow it inside for 2 to 3 months before moving it outside, and I leave it outside until my first frost, which isn't until usually late November or early December, at which time I harvest it. The rhizome doesn't start growing until it's been planted and in a growing mode for about 4 months. So if you don't start it indoors, for most areas, the rhizome's not even going to be growing yet when it's close to time to harvest. So anyway, make sure that you get it started early indoors. Unless you're in a tropical environment, then go ahead and plant it outside. But for the rest of us, start it February or March. Keep it damp, keep it humid. It should take about a week to 2 weeks before you see sprouts. Once you've got plenty of sprouts, or most of the sprouts are coming up, you want to move it under lights. I have mine under lights right now, but I will be turning the lights off. I just wanted to be able to see to film it. But once it starts sprouting, you need to have it under lights. I use high intensity grow lights, and I have them on for 16 hours a day. Once it gets to the point of moving them outside, you're going to want to pot them up into much larger pots. I plan on using, I think this is I don't know if it's a 5 or a 7 gallon grow bag. I like these because they've got the handles, and if I need to move them around, I can do that. And I'll divide up the 8 pieces probably into 3 grow bags. You're going to want to put them in a location that gets morning sun or dappled sun. They do like a good bit of shade, and so they're one of the more shade tolerant plants. They do not like hot, direct afternoon sun. It will burn the leaves. You're much better to give them full shade than full sun, particularly in the more southern areas. The farther north, the more sun they can generally tolerate, just like growing anything else. You also want to protect them from wind. Wind will dry out the leaves and break the stems. So keep them protected from the wind. And once you're ready to actually harvest, I find the easiest thing to do, particularly since I use grow bags, is to just dump them out on a tarp, move the soil away, and then I've got my ginger. I can clean off the roots, clean off the stems, and then prepare it. You can dry it, you can freeze it, you can eat it right now. And when I get into fall, I will make another video and we'll go through harvesting and different ways of preparing it for freezing or drying. Again, the 3 things to remember. Ginger is tropical, so keep it warm, humid, and damp. Ginger is very slow growing, and it takes 4 months before the rhizome even starts to grow, and typically 8 to 10 months before it's ready to harvest. And ginger likes the warmth of the sun, but it doesn't like hot sunlight. So keep it in a more shady area, a dappled sun area. Morning sun's great, but not hot, direct afternoon sun. I hope you are successful in your venture to grow ginger. If you got any benefit out of this, I would certainly appreciate a like, a comment, and of course, subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and above all, be kind.